Stop coming back.
ISTC is the best place to be this summer. You get to do so many fun activities. You get to meet so many new people from around the world.
ISTC is looking for people that are passionate about self-growth and improvement. They are hard-working and adventurous, but most of all, have a love for working with kids and having an amazing time.
I think the best thing about ISTC, honestly, is the community. It's been really just wonderful to just be welcomed with open arms and feel like I'm a part of the community already.
It really was a no-brainer for me, and it was the best decision that I have made.
Anyone would just love this place because you get so many opportunities here that I just wouldn't have back in my home country. I get to see new places, live a different way of life, and it's just amazing.
Working at ISTC, I've had the best time so far, and I cannot wait to come back next year to work again next summer.
Truly is the best place in the world to work, and I wouldn't wish to work anywhere else.
The staff has the most beautiful, excited, positive energy, and that is the stuff that I would remember year after year.
We're based in the Pocono Mountains. We have roughly around 325 kids that walk through our doors each week. They arrive on the Sunday and they leave on the Friday or the Saturday, but they do have the option to do multiple weeks if they wish. We hire all sports coaches, counsellors, waterfront staff, ropes course staff, adventure staff, you name it, there's a job position for you.
ICC has been the most meaningful experience of my whole entire life. I would really love to give the future campers coming in the same experience that I had when I was a camper here that made me love coming every single summer.
They may call it ISTC, but the memories you make here are IST free. As in, you know, you can't put a price on them. Am I right, Alon?
That was a good one. That was a good one.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't write that.
Can't write that.
Nor did he.
stop coming back.
ISTC is the best place to be for summer. You get to do so many fun activities. You get to meet so many people from around the world.
ISTC is looking for people that are passionate about self-growth and improvement. They are hardworking and adventurous, but most of all, have a love for working with kids and having an amazing time.
I think the best thing about ICC, honestly, is the community. It's been really just wonderful to just be welcomed with open arms and feel like I'm a part of the community already.
It really was a no-brainer for me, and it was the best decision that I have made.
Anyone would just love this place because you get so many opportunities here that I just wouldn't have back in my home country. I get to see new places, live a different way of life, and it's just amazing.
Working at ICC, I've had the best time so far, and I cannot wait to come back next year to work again next summer.
Truly is the best place in the world to work, and I wouldn't wish to work anywhere else.
The staff has the most beautiful, excited, positive energy, and that is the stuff that I would remember year after year.
We're based in the Pocono Mountains. We have roughly around 325 kids that walk through our doors each week. They arrive on the Sunday and they leave on the Friday or the Saturday, but they do have the option to do multiple weeks if they wish. We hire all sports coaches, counsellors, waterfront staff, ropes course staff, adventure staff. You name it, there's a job position for you.
ICC has been the most meaningful experience of my whole entire life. I would really love to give the future campers coming in the same experience that I had when I was a camper here that made me love coming every single summer.
They may call it ISTC, but the memories you make here are IST free. As in, you know, you can't put a price on them. Am I right, Alon?
That was a good one. That was a good one.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't write that.
Can't write that.
Nor did he.
Much of the world has become increasingly aware of sustainability issues over the last few decades. As Formula One in part, this goal will be achieved by switching to 100% sustainable fuel.
Right, screw absolutely all of you. Finally, I've got it working. Thank you for all your wonderful positive comments in the YouTube live stream. I love you all dearly. Now shut up. The whole stream deck and then my PC completely shut down on me. I'm blaming that fully on the fact that that we couldn't get a lobby set up in time, and I sat here streaming for a good 20 minutes before anything kicked off. As soon as I went to press something, it literally just shut down. So that's always great. But good evening, welcome. This is the Vetalo Endurance Championship. My name is Gareth Hall, joining you for, luckily, after missing qualifying, well, it's a little bit less than an absolute slog tonight here in Qatar, and it is the second race of 6 this season. Hopefully you can all hear me. If you can, do let me know. If you can't, enjoy the dry sounds of these cars making their way around a circuit that was designed for bikes and not so much for cars. It was really, anyone that enjoys this circuit is a masochist. Jamie Numbers goes off into the distance and enjoys himself some sand between his toes here in Qatar. But hello, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully this is now working. If it's not, do let me know. If you can hear me, if you can't hear me, I will need someone just to confirm. Hopefully, as Jake asks, how's it going? Your guess is as good as mine at the moment. So hopefully it's all working. And I was pressing buttons, I was plugging things in and out. I had to restart the entire PC. It just didn't like, for some reason, didn't like it when we redid the lobby. It was all working fine, and then it just went all black. Nothing happened. All black screen. Had to reset and basically get every new driver for the Elgato capture card, even though it's pretty much brand new. So hopefully all goes to plan. Oh, look, as Sully says, it's back. Is it? Am I? Can you hear me? Do let me know. I will endeavour to try and commentate over you. But, of course, actually I'll turn myself down a little bit there because I think I was peaking a little bit. So, yeah, do let me know how all is going well. As you can see, we've got plenty of time, in fact. So, what I'll do is I'll just show you tonight as qualifying does end with Nathan Sambert taking pole position, Arnow in P2, Kieran getting team speed up into P3, Nick Egan up into P4, Jake O'Sullivan P5, then we've got Waitsy and Casper 6 and 7, Ben Shaw in P8, Ben Harrett P9, and Deck a credible 10th position, out qualifying some real scrubs, the likes of Ryan Berry and Pete Knighton down outside of the order. But here we go. Thank you very much, Jamie. Finally, someone's actually paying attention, can reply saying they can actually hear me. But do bear with me, guys. I will pay attention to the screen, but I will just quickly run through you because those are new to Vetalo. here is the format. So it will be slightly different to what you can see on screen. Unfortunately, our league owners decided to change the rules, slightly amended at the end. So it is actually standard safety car, standard damage. So these guys will not just be able to punt into each other like we saw in the first race in China. But we have 5 teams competing tonight. ERT, JOR, ALR, the Orange Arrows and Team Speed Esports. They will all be fighting for a heap of points, and that is how it's sorted out. So the fastest team 10 points, second fastest gets 7, all the way 4, 2, 1, and then we go team sports all the way through. So the fastest lap from the team member gets 5 points, 4 points from the second fastest team. Then of course race finishing points, first through to 20th, no points for a non-score. Bonus points if there's 0 DNFs across the team, which is 10 points, which last time out was taken by the top 3 teams in the standings. As you see, ERT bossed the entire race last time. A 1, 2, 3, 4, first in quali, fastest lap, and didn't retire. So that is a full complement of 99 points. Team speed 68. Well, they will be hoping to hold on to second place in their standings. But as we go through this one, you can see with the calendar, it's Qatar tonight. May 20th, next time out, and last time on this game will be in Abu Dhabi. And it is, of course, as you saw earlier on, and I'm sure if you're brand new to it, it is a 100% race. So if there are any points in the race where we maybe have something slower go down, I'll break down, I'll go back to some of these things and just keep you clued in with everything that is happening. But we will take you back to the action as the guys are on their formation lap for starting their first tour, not officially, but their first tour of 57 laps here in Qatar, the Losail International Circuit, which, well, it was introduced just a few seasons ago, of course came in during the COVID seasons and has now been reintroduced into the F1 calendar. It is, in total, these guys will be doing 307 kilometres, that's 191 miles. It is a 5.4 kilometre circuit, it's 3.35 if you work in miles. Maximum speed is around about 200 miles an hour, they differ around about 199. Distance from P1 to turn 1 is 371 metres. Full throttle, these guys will be on 68% of the lap. There'll be 36 gear changes for those that are competent, a little bit more for those that aren't. Pit time loss here is 18.9 seconds. They'll be on the C1s, the C2s and the C3s. And you can see it is Nathan Samba, the only driver who's gone for the white-walled hard tyre, mediums down through the rest of his ERT teammates who are now, of course, you've got Waitsy, Anna Casper. We've got for Jake O'Sullivan going soft, Ben Shaw, Ben Harrett, Declan A. Gormley has gone soft, then T-Quicks, Speed Knight and Eb Eric, OKK, Sclav and Risky all going soft, and of course F1 Killer, Jamie Numbers and Ryan Berry also on the middle compound, the yellow walled medium tyre. So they'll run a slightly longer first stint compared to the guys on the softs that will be trying to make up positions on the line. Everyone in team colours, of course it is the 5 teams, so you will see the dark blue of ERT, you will see the light blue of Team Speed, you'll see the orange of Arrows, you'll see the green of ALR, and the red, I believe, of JR. So, getting ready for the lights for 57 laps. Whoever signed up for this? 57 laps of Qatar, and it is the second round of the Vetalo Endurance Championship with lights on, lights off, and underway. It's a good start from the front 2. In fact, it looks as though Arnow getting the jump on his teammate Samba with the benefit on tyres down into turn 1. Now it's all about Samba holding on to position behind yellow flag. That is for a slow Jamie Numbers getting off the line, trying to go around the outside. That will turn to the inside. That's down the inside for Kieran, trying to find a way past, but cannot do so with Jake O'Sullivan already making up the position now up into P4. behind Ben Shaw's made up a position as well, so he's moving up through the order. It's a great start from Arnout, as we've already got one car out of the race. That's Jamie Numbers, who's had an issue, couldn't get off the line. I think he's had to retire, as unfortunately that is already one car down for the green team, as they will be unfortunately looking at well, already before a lap's even completed, losing that bonus point. So Jamie Numbers leaves the session, rejoins the session, but I think his car's retired, and it has. Leaves the session. We've also got Ed Berwick around, so one of the cars falling away already off the back of the pack, and with no safety cars, or at least a lack of them, that will potentially harm his race in the early stages of this one. So Kieran still on the back of Samba, and he desperately needs to clear the ERT driver as early as possible in this one. As you can see, several cars fighting for position behind. I think that was Risky, who just hit the wall. There was contact. I saw the back end of that car getting all out of shape, and it looks as though contact from himself, and I think one of the Orange Arrow's cars brings out our first safety car of the evening. And well, Ed Berwick, I'm sure, will be happy on that, but that is no bonus points for Jamie Numbers, no bonus points for Solomon Lewis, and he will not be best pleased with that at all. Very, very early on. Silly moves to be getting involved in a collision in such a long race. What, he hadn't even completed his second lap, they've only just started lap 2. I'm getting some horrible audio reverb here, so I'm not quite sure if that's being picked up on stream, but it sounds horrendous in my headphones. I think it's just an audio glitch with the game, but well, safety car out. That will pause us for a while, so we can take stock, and we'll actually, just whilst we're doing that, we'll show you once again just the teams for tonight. As you see, it's JOR, it's Jake O'Sullivan, it is Lewis Kerrod, Nick Egan and Ed Berwick for the red team for JOR. It is the Orange Arrows of Declan Acornley, Ben Harrett, Ryan Berry and Matthew Wymark. It is ALR, it's Yanis Skleventis, Robin Leyland, Michael OKK and unfortunately no longer Jamie Griffiths. It's Team Speed Esports with Ben Shaw, Pete Knighton, Kieran Spears and now unfortunately no longer Sullivan Lewis, and it's ERT with Casper Klein, Nathan Samba, Chris Waits and Arnout de Grief, and they will be making their way back as we've got the car into the pit lane. So it's Samba already making a stop off of the hard tyres onto the softs, so he'll drop to the back of the field. I'm sure he won't mind about that, because this is something we saw from Samba in the first round of the season, going on to a much different tyre strategy, going longer and then coming back through to the end and cruising to victory, I believe it was, and very much ERT swept the competition away as into the box. Also comes Ed Berwick in P17 for Team JOR, as this is the Vetalo, named after Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso, two of the most overrated F1 drivers of the recent 20 years, as it was concocted in the brainchild of the likes of Deck, the likes of Jake, the likes of Ben Harrett, and is brought to you by the wonderful subtle voice of Gareth Hall, who managed to get the stream working, we'll say on time. If not, I know you're all enjoying watching the black screen. Some of you, the likes of Jamie Numbers and Risky, oh, that's karma, isn't it? You're already watching a black screen as, haha, Nick Egan, time penalty for ignoring a yellow flag under the safety car. How on earth have you done that, Nicholas? Down in P6, there's overtaking, undertaking, under the safety car. Well, we will have to find out. I'm sure that will go into potentially a steward's call at the end of the song, but he will have to serve it. But, well, he will have to serve it, therefore, he can't get 5 seconds taken off. That will just be a bit of a kick in the teeth for a man that will be expecting to be fighting towards the front of this one, knowing that he is easily up at the pace of the likes of Kieran, the likes of Jake Waitsy, Ben Shaw, Casper. Arnout, well, he had a good start on those tyres compared to Samba. What can he do on this second restart? Is the safety car staying in for another? Yes, it is. So, pit lane, even though it's located much differently in real life. For some reason we have to take the endurance racing pit lane. It would technically go to the right here, but who needs to code games properly? As you see, down the main straight, black and blue, white and blue, red and black, black and blue, white and black, red and black. So it's all the way down to orange arrows. It's the first time we see a non-JOR speed or ERT car. So you've got Team Orange Arrows, and then you've got, of course, the likes of KK, Slav, and they've already lost Jamie Numbers, who did not have a fourth in their team. So the guys down there will be unfortunately missing out on a heap of points, and will be wanting to perhaps kind of nurse these cars to the end, and just make sure they do pick up at least something. So watch out for that. That is ALR that will be perhaps looking just to be playing conservation mode tonight. But it was, as I said, a full sweep for the team leading the championship on 99 points, first, second, third, fourth, first in quality, first in fastest lap. It was ERT that made the race look easy back in China. As Jamie says, kicked me out, got stuck, and the game retired you. I don't actually know why, because your car was moving, so I'm not quite sure why the car retired you. Leroy says the game sounds loud. Yes, it does. I'll tell you that. I will try and turn it down. Bear with me 2 seconds. How is that? Is that any better? It still sounds like absolute hot garbage in my ears, but I think we may have just turned the game sounds down a little bit for yourselves. What actually happened was, for some reason, the Vetalo stream that was set up, so basically when you go into OBS, those that use it, you can set up different scene collections. It was not recognising my Elgato at all. So I had to go into my Jackar one, completely copy that scene collection, copy it back into this, and that, for some reason, that one was working. So you're watching a hybrid of a Vetalo Endurance Championship and Jackar Kia Series stream. So I've actually had to undo all my assets. So we'll see. If I press buttons, who knows what's going to happen. And who knows what's going to happen here with the restart with Arnow and P1, Kieran, Jake and Waitsy 2, 3 and 4. He can go at any point. There's no restart zone for Arnow, so he can leave until as late as possible. And off he goes, foot to the floor. Great restart for the Belgian. As already you can see side by side, Ben Shaw clears Waitsy. They're still battling into turn 1. Ben surely got the inside line and surely does pick up the position on those soft tyres that have only done 1 racing lap so far. So Ben now up into P4. He can go after his old compatriot from the Jackar Cup Series. It is Jake O'Sullivan. Behind you can see that's a very aggressive move from Ben Harrett, looking down the inside of Pete Knighton. Of course, Pete Knighton, who didn't get to the end of this race back in the Jackar Cup Series last season, contact with the team leader for Team ERT, Khalifa Al Khalifa, and he ended up in the wall. So hopefully Pete will be looking towards getting to the end of this one. Of course, I won't hold my breath. It is Pete Knighton, but getting away from lap 5, the restart was already, we see Nathan Sabber moving up past Nav into 13th position, and I'll just, of course, preface the show tonight. I am alone, no Jess with me tonight, no Owen with me or anyone else, as Samba gets past Killer. So that's 2 positions gained in this 1 lap. So nice movement forward for him, but as Michael gets himself a 3-second time penalty already. Very, very early on to be cutting some corners there, Michael. As you see, actually, Ben Shaw getting slightly offline there. But as I was saying, just me tonight. So if you do hear me occasionally take a pause, I will just be keeping my voice to get through the next, 50 laps. It is not particularly easy, but we persevere, and hopefully we'll bring you a good race. It's not a particular favourite circuit of mine. Can't tell you all the corner names. It's not really been on the calendar long enough. It's try. I mean, it was designed for bikes, which is why you go straight hairpin, as Samba is literally carving through the field. The game's not letting me select him, so I will just go on board. There we go, as Ben Harrett just shows him outside. Don't think that's going to work. And manners are immediately put on him. So Samba has gone from the back already up into P9. Behind there is an absolute mishmash of cars that are trying to find their way around. Deck, who hopefully is still pushing himself to use the wheel. He of course finished on the podium in VSL just a few weeks ago, getting in Las Vegas, I want to say, as Michael Okeke is very quick around here, but it doesn't help when you take lines like that, which Michael, the white stuff on either side, it's pretty apparent where the track is, as he's desperately trying to get past Ben Harrett. He's quick, but maybe not quick enough to stay in the track lines. As Arnold, fastest lap of the race, 26 flat for him, and here is almost a double overtake attempt for Sklav. Will that be around the outside of Deck as he sides around the outside? Gets one. Does he get Killer? I think he might just do. So lovely there. Just to... it's all going to park up here and everyone's going to arrive at one point of the circuit all at the same time. But Sklav getting up past Deck, and Killer did get him back. So transfer of position. Michael, you are going to end this race with months worth of penalties if you take these lines as you are. I know you're fighting for position, but think about getting to the end. You've already lost one team member. You do not want to be getting disqualified this early in the session, as we've got Casper now closing in on Kieran, so we'll go back to the front, although this is much more exciting. Michael, as he loses the position there to Killer, who's going to go down the inside, and the man on the mediums will retake position. So Jake O'Sullivan, first penalty of the race for the guys running up in the top 5 position. So very early on is an issue there for Jake, holding on to P2. In fact, just gets himself within DRS of the race leader. Of course, these guys all... Sam does fastest lap there, and has already made his way up to P8 now. Now closing in on Nick Egan, who's fighting his way between himself and Waitsy. Of course, Nick Egan moving out of Team ERT and is now Egan Nick on his own. So very much trailblazing the esports scene once again, much like he did when he created One Hub Racing, which you can catch on keep on a say Friday, but it's definitely now a Sunday. So catch that on Sunday evenings. I'm all about sharing the love here. We'll promote leagues all throughout the world as those that are racing in. So if you do have any leagues that you're in that you want to promote, do let us know, and I'm sure I can give them a shout out here. I've already said Jack Car, VSL, One Hub. There's only a couple of leagues that aren't going to get a mention here. It's the ones that are full of sweats. And hold on a second. No, I can't mention any of them. Well, one driver that is going to be sweating is Michael Okeke, because he's gone off and he's already found himself in the gravel. And Michael, who was, I think, is already up to 9 seconds of penalties, has not got the right setup for this circuit. I don't know who's given him the Monza setup, but he cannot get that car turned in. Let's go down to the first of the orange arrows, because it is Ben Harrett who is seemingly holding up an absolute train of cars. There's Killer now lining him up. Is this the tyres going off for Ben? Because he's going to lose one position. Is he going to lose two? Because that's a side, that's a cut. But he just about holds it. In fact, Sklav goes around the outside and gets two for the price of one, moving up from P12 into P10. A lovely little double move there from him, demoting Ben Harrett down 2 positions in less than one corner. That means a trio of orange arrows now from P12 down to P14, with Ryan Berry 2.72, what's that, to 3.6 seconds back from them as well. So very much early stages of this one, as Samba now on the back of Kieran. Kieran, who of course was hopefully looking for a good start, a good qualifying session from him, but has kind of fallen off the back at the moment, is now just sitting outside DRS of Casper. Casper having got past Kieran, but Samba is making this look easy. Look at the He can sit right in the tracks, no feeling of dirty air, just quite happy to sit behind Kieran. Of course, does have the benefit of the newer soft tyres compared to Kieran's mediums, so tyres will be roughly around about the same level as Kieran. Tries to go to S-House's way for DRS. Don't think that's worked, Mr. Spears, because whilst you may have had it, he's already cleared off and is disappearing up by half a second. So as Casper and Ben Shaw trade position now, so Casper making positions, it looks as though these soft tyres, even with the upscaling of the 100%, are already starting to lose their edge. But it is, once again, as we saw in race 1, ERT and Team Speed that are seemingly kind of fighting towards the front of this one. JOR, of course, do have Jake O'Sullivan and Nick Egan in there as well. And then we've lost Jamie Numbers and we lost Sullivan Lewis earlier on in the race. In fact, much earlier on, lap 1 and lap 2. As let's have a look at what you're all saying. Leroy's happy with the game sound, and Leroy's also showing some love to Declan Acornley. Get him out of Team Speed. No love to any other team. As lap 10 of 57 here in Qatar. We've got Ben Shaw 7/10 off the back of Casper now, but with Samba for company. Michael gets himself another time penalty, as you can see Samba is just making these look easy, and you've got to think it's only a matter of laps until he's cruised right up to the back of the likes of Casper, and even then Jake O'Sullivan's going to be within reach. But with DRS, this one should be pretty much elementary. Pulls to the inside. Ben's trying his best. You can see that fighting for position, but with the inside line, Samba should easily take the corner, take the line, take position. So he's up to P4 in this 57 lap race around the Qatar Losail International Circuit. And under the lights, I'm sure a much more well versed commentator, someone that doesn't of course do this semi for a living and away doing what motorsports radio, fab racing, all sorts of other series, would have some notes about various things about this circuit, some nuances about the circuit, but I don't actually have anything written down for Qatar yet, and I haven't got round to it. It will eventually come for the Jacko Car C5. Of course, they will be having their C5 at the Losail International Circuit in what, 2.5 months time ish, around then. Go to @JackoCar on Twitter to check it out. Of course, go to @Vetalo Endurance, I think it is, to check out this league and find out more about the first season, the inaugural season of the league, as Samba has already caught Casper by what, he was a second and a half down at the start of the lap. Has Ben Harrington the next driver to pick up 8 time penalties. We've now got 4 drivers with time penalties. Into the box comes Slav to make his first stop. Down the inside goes Samba and up into P3, and already now only half a second behind Jake O'Sullivan. Are now a very, very good start to this one. 3 seconds is the gap, even on the medium tyres. So Jake, even with the softs at the start of the race, could not keep with Arnow. So these ERT drivers have clearly been sweating this to win this race once again. We'll be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got to hopefully get Waitsy, who is sitting on the back of Kieran now. So in fact, we'll just go and check in with that, because Samba is going to probably clear past Jake pretty soon. Is that going to be an overtake? Waitsy has a look to the inside of Kieran, who is starting to struggle some, you think, because he's falling back now. 2.3 seconds he's fallen back. So Kieran's kind of just dropping the pace a little bit. It's actually allowing Nick Egan to get involved in this fight, and Pete Knighton's 2.6 back from him. Behind, we've got a couple of gaps forming as Killer and Knighton trade positions, as I think that's an issue. That's a slight mistake there from Pete, because he's dropped back well within well over a second of Killer, so possibly a Speed Knighton error to allow that position to change. DRS will be taken by Waitsy, and this once again should be a pretty easy move. In fact, this might actually open the door for Nick. So let's see if he can get a nice double toe here. Does he use any of that push to pass battery deployment? No, he doesn't. He's going to sit there. But I don't think he's close enough just yet to make a move on Kieran. No, he thinks better of it. He probably could have used a little bit of battery there. But this is a circuit where braking points very much come at a premium, and therefore recovering energy, recovering battery is nigh on impossible, as Kieran's trying to come back a weight seat, but peels in and pulls back in to the slipstream into the tyre tracks of the ERT driver in front. We're getting a lovely view here from the T-cam of Nick of this battle that's going on in front, as Samba does clear Casper up into P2. So let's see how long this 3.1 second advantage lasts for Arnau, because Samba clearly, much like in China, on a different planet in terms of pace compared to the rest of the field. There's well, I did have an advert to show you all that would have showed you exactly what I thought about the majority of the guys in this race, but seeing as we didn't have time due to the complications with the stream at the start of qualifying, you're going to have to wait until next time out over in May. 6 weeks, I think it is the gap between the next race, so plenty of racing to come with the rest of the season, but you're going to have to wait for one last race on the F1 23 and then 3 races on F1 24 that will come later on. Now Kieran is the one with DRS, as once again Nick Egan watching this, as Kieran with DRS is trying, and he does get the position there. In fact, Nick Egan has to lift off the throttle a little bit just to stop himself from introducing his front wing to the gearbox of Waitsy. So a nice little battle going on between the three of them. Is there anything else happening? Casper is staying with Samba, so he's staying within a 6/10 window, but I'm not expecting those guys to be fighting too much. But Jake is desperately trying to get within that 1 second window to get DRS and get dragged along. They've broken away from Ben, who's just made his stop. So Ben Shorin, he's actually come out in clean air, which I'm sure he won't mind too much about that. He can kind of just bed himself back in on these new tyres, as we've got Timur and Jaris bringing up 10th, 11th and 12th. Ryan Berry down there in 14th as well. So these guys all fighting out over position as Jake picks up his second time penalty. And what I'll actually do is I'll do that, because whilst it gets rid of the tyres, you will be able to see the time penalties everyone currently has. So Nick, with that 5 seconds, he'll have to serve in his stop for a yellow flag infraction under the safety car. 6 for track extensions for Jake, 3 for track extensions for Ben, and 15 as Jake O'Sullivan into the box, off of the softs and on to a set of medium compound tyres, and that's Team Speed running out of the box. Who's that for? I think that's going to be Speed Knighton. Yes, it is. So Pete onto another off of the softs, onto set of mediums, much like Jake. And that's enough of that. You can go back and see that we've also got Ed Berwick, who made a pit stop on lap 1, is now back out and in 16th position. And these guys now will be hoping for a safety car, and the probably best bet about that might actually still be this battle going on between Waitsy, Kieran and Nick. And Nick just kind of biding his time at the moment, doesn't need to push the car, as Ben gets a time penalty, 3 seconds for him. So you can see drivers now starting to suffer with track extensions. This is why it's not a very good F1 track, guys. So apologies, as is Kieran still on the back of Waitsy, and will be wanting to clear him, but of course whoever's punching the hole through the air here will be the one at the deficit, because everyone else behind him, the 2 behind, will have DRS. So would you prefer just to get some DRS and just kind of be dragged along, or do you feel like the car in front is holding you up and you need to get past? Looks as though Kieran's decided, no, it's my turn to lead this one. Pulls up alongside and moves back up into what is currently P4 in circuit, but of course with the likes of Jake O'Sullivan and Ben Shaw having made stops, that is not quite a net P4, but strategy will play out, will change, as Kieran gets a slight snap of oversteer on exit there, manages to gather it back up. But what does Nick do? Does he, now he's seen that Kieran's decided to go past Waitsy, as Michael gets his 18th, his 6th time penalty, so 18 seconds for him. He's actually managed to cool it down over the last few laps, and maybe decided after that battle earlier on just to stay within the black, or stay on the black stuff, and keep it within the white lines. I think a little bit overexcited sitting in the middle of the train was Michael, was causing him some real issues later on. But all points, all positions will gain points. So no matter where you finish, how many time penalties you're on, you will be taking home valuable championship points. As you can see, Waitsy still staying with Kieran. So these guys all quite evenly matched pace. Do we see anyone diving in at the late stage? No, everyone's sticking out on the medium tyres. They've decided it's only the guys on the softs that haven't yet pitted. So that's Ben Harrett and Declan that are yet to make their stop, and of course Samba pitted under the safety car at the start as Waitsy back down the inside. Nick Egan thinks about it and doesn't quite get underneath the inside of Kieran's rear tyre to show a bit of tyre, just to get in his mind, just get you can see just to get in his vision, as into the box and out of the box comes Mr. Ben Harrett. Of course, a big Arsenal fan, Ben Harrett, famously, as he will roll out just behind teammate T-Crex. So he will come out in P15, just in front of Ed Berwick, who equally will be wanting a safety car after an early spin for him, dropped him down the order, and of course coming in for a pit stop, which I believe was probably for a new front wing as well. But back to the front of this one, let's just tune in with our leaders, the two that have absolutely cruised. Look at the gap they've got. They've got Casper. They're just starting to drop Casper now, 1.4 seconds, but almost 10 seconds then back to their teammate. But it is, as you were from China, it is currently an ERT 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, that's not quite net. We do know that some of these guys are on different strategies, as Arnau does the right thing and lets the faster man through as Samba goes through into P1. So even with that pit stop under the safety car, he started on the hard tyres. I think he thought that early safety car would perhaps have a few more people coming in, but he changed up the strategy. Now his game plan is very much just to drag his teammate along with him. So if there's anyone watching along, do let us know. What's the predictions for tonight? I think I can imagine what most of you are going to choose. But will we see another safety car? Will it shake up the race? We're on at lap 18 of 57 so far. So I'm trying to be positive about Qatar, because you do get some close racing. But the reason for that is much like in Monaco, you can't overtake anyone. So you sit behind him as Samba gets a 3-second time penalty. So I'm sure that won't affect him in the slightest, but it'll be slightly, unfortunately, it'll blemish his record as Waitsy gets onto the curb there. You can see the plank underneath just getting a little bit skittish, the car wanting to unbalance itself, and once again having a little bit of a snap, and decides, well, that's me done, off of these tyres, get it slowed down, turn it right in, don't hit the wall on the outside, as I've seen some people do before. Guns it to line. Does he get it slowed down? Because the pit lane limiter comes at you right under the, there's a slight decline there. What people don't kind of see is a slight decline in the track surface. I don't think it's actually there in real life, but the pit lane line is right at the bottom of the decline, so you can't actually see it as you're driving towards it. Michael gets another time penalty. Into the box also comes F1 Killer 007. So the man with a license to kill, unfortunately, is going to be doing it from probably P12 as Ryan Berry goes past, as these guys in the orange arrows who've actually put a front wing on that when it's driving down the main straight does actually look like it's not there, and they're running with no front wing, which looking at the state of some of the orange arrows guys wouldn't be too much of a surprise. As Pete Knighton now on the back of Ryan Berry. Of course, Ryan yet to stop, started on the medium rubber. They're much like the same Nick Egan, Kieran Spears, Casper Klein and Arnau de Grief, as Arnau's actually gone back past Samba. As Pete's trying to get past Ryan Berry, gives a bit of a hurry up into the corner. As Ryan's going to fight him back. You bet he will, and this is going to be contact. There we go. That was what well, I would call him Mr. Anderson, but I am inevitable. I think it is, if you're talking about Ryan Berry and Pete Knighton getting involved in some sort of incident somewhere on the circuit. As that's now brought F1 Killer back into the party, and he's on brand new softs, so he's going to have a much nicer advantage as Nick finally does clear Kieran for P4. So after waiting behind him all this time, as Pete sits there, he's not going to get DRS, as Killer's going to get this one and should cruise past the Team Speed Esports driver. Here we go, pulls to the right hand side, and there you go. And Pete tries to pull back in. I mean, you're going to get a little bit of slipstream. It's not going to help you all too much, but it does now mean that Pete's got a lovely rear view mirror of 4 orange cars that will be wanting some revenge on the little bit of contact that was there between one of their compatriots earlier on. Is Ben Shaw and Jake O'Sullivan now involved in their own little party. We will we'll check in with Samba and Arnell in a bit, that they are effectively just playing the team game, dragging each other around. That's why they keep changing position, and you see them sitting within sort of half a second, 1 second of each other, just using DRS very strategically. Is Kieran now, as you see, right in the back of Nick. So we actually will check in with that, because this could be fireworks. We know that Kieran likes to make moves, but he's not going to have to, because he's going to get DRS and he's going to take position, because into the box comes Nick to make his stop. So Kieran's sticking it out. A few more laps on the medium tyres, as once again Arnell and Samba change places. It's the Mad Hatter's Tea Party all over again, as there's a 3-second time penalty for Mr. Knighton, as water is wet, it seems, up there in Leicestershire. I think that's where Pete is. Leicestershire, round there. It's something like that. But it's Nick will now come out. In fact, we'll just go on board with it, because I think he's going to come out into a little bit of a grouping here. He is going to come out just behind Ben Harrett. So new tyres for him, somewhat new tyres from Ben Harrett. So we'll see what the pace disparity is between these two as they fight over what will be 12th on circuit, but of course will change later on in the session when all the pit stops being made, as Ben has actually now got past Jake, so he's now moved up into P5 as off the track goes Nick. They're just getting some temperature back into these tyres. Of course, the tyre level, or the tyre temperature out of the blankets was lowered before this this game cycle. It was meant to be that they were meant to have no blankets whatsoever, which would have been beautiful, but of course F1 takes the fun out of everything, and much like the F2 drivers, when they have to deal with a couple of laps of tyre warm-up, F1 decide there is nothing interesting about being interesting. So they put them on dreadful circuits and give them as many different abilities to be as quick as possible, rather than, I say, making the cars half the size smaller, putting a VTN engine in them, putting on sustainable fuels, and putting them back on circuits that actually provide conducive and fun racing. But enough about Qatar. As you can tell, I'm not being paid by the Qatari government, unlike the likes of Matt Ryan and BSL. But there's a change of position once again. Casper and Jake, Ben and Jake, as they fight over P5, and I think these two might actually be working together here. Well, I say that they're probably just engaged in this battle, knowing that the 3 ERT guys at the front have pretty much cleared off, and they're now 7.6 seconds. I think Ben will be slightly disappointed. In fact, both of them will be slightly disappointed that the gap between themselves and the ERT guys is so grand. As Michael down there in P17 with another time penalty. As it's yeah, they're going to be wanting to hope that after the guys in front make their stops, that they come out relatively close to them. You can see it's I said an 18.9 second stop. So Ben now 24 seconds back, and of course Jake about half seconds back from that as well. But they've got themselves a 10-second advantage. So they're really just kind of having their own little race here. Kieran is just doing TT at the moment. 22 lap old mediums for him. He's 17 seconds off the back of Casper as Jake once again moves past, and Ben Harrett gets himself a time penalty. He is now with Nick Egan, so they're still fighting as Waitsy and Sklav change places. And Sklav down now to P8, but having a solid run so far. Jake picking up a time penalty, so that's I think 9 seconds for him. So less than half the way into this one, and we've already got some hefty penalties being awarded for some of these drivers that I'm expecting some of the gaps towards the end of this be quite big. Unless you're kind of stuck in the DRS train, there will be some field spread over that 100% distance. You tend to get quite a bit of field spread as the pace kind of really settles in, and not just in the early stages but also the late stages. Kind of this 100% races are fascinating because they do kind of show you how you're able to work through the tyre in the early phase, but also in the late phase when the tyre starts to fall away. It's kind of probably one of my worst traits in this game, is that I'm very good. I'm very easily adaptable to a brand new tyre to go out and drive it as well as possible. But as soon as the tyre starts to die, and when I say die, like as in like 30%, it's like I drive like a Jack Kia driver and lose all ability, all cognitive function, and drive around with effectively what feels like using an analog stick on a wheel. So these guys, it's all about tyre management, and Arnau is now out of his stop, and you can see he does actually only come out half a second in front of these guys. So whilst he did manage to jump them, they are within DRS, so he's going to want to use these tyres. Of course, Ben and Jake have done 9 and 10 laps respectively on their tyres. So Arnau should be able to break DRS relatively soon, but Jake will be pushing hard. You can imagine. In fact, what we're going to go on, we're going to be a bit sneaky here. Don't like to usually look at battery level and data and things like that. And no hate to the guys that use TAS, but or the commentators that use TAS, but I do feel it takes the shine away from commentary if you're being given all the information. It takes away from building any narrative whatsoever, as that's not where the track is, Mr. De Grief, as he makes his way around the penultimate corner, but in the process does build himself almost a 1 second advantage, which means that even with DRS, Jake's only going to get back within around about 0.4 of a second by the end of the straight. It's 0.5. There we go, 0.4. It's almost like I'm clairvoyant. Or even 0.3. He quickly dabbed down there. I'm going to blame that on Arnau, just not wanting me to be correct. But you can see these guys now starting to pull away from Ben. So Ben's actually dropped out of DRS, which is not useful for the fact that he's on similar tyres to Jake, and was involved in a kind of a changing of the position every now and then with him earlier on. As we'll just check in with Nick and see how his progression is after making his stop. He's now on the back of Prix. As we've got a car around, I think that's going to be Michael. It is Michael that's gone around, who's actually now found himself a lap down and being caught by Kieran. So Michael's going to have to get away because Kieran's going to catch him relatively quickly. I do think that Kieran will probably be boxing within the next sort of lap or two. We'll see if he dives into the right-hand lane. No, he does out. Oh, no, he thinks about it. In fact, he tries to once again play smart and get some DRS as Arnau picks up another time penalty. Kieran does get DRS, but I'm not quite sure why, seeing as Arnau would have got him regardless, because Kieran's not going to come back at him. Arnau's got brand new tyres, so Kieran probably is perhaps looking at making this a one-stop race. There's a couple more time penalties flashing up there for the likes of Pete, and didn't quite see who it was that caught the first one. But well, good evening to everyone watching along. Hopefully you're enjoying it. This is the Vetalo Endurance Championship. My name's Gareth Hall. I'll be bringing you the commentary for the majority of this season. Maybe a couple of races I'll be racing rather than in the comments box. I believe next time out the plan is to have Owen White and Jess Ball back for commentary in that one, which might give me a chance to sit in the cockpit for one of these races, as Michael picks up another time penalty down there in 17th position. It does look as though we'll go on board with Kieran, and we'll see what the grip levels are like. Does he have the same level of confidence in the car that he did earlier on? As you can see, Jake now is already a pit stop ahead of Kieran. So Kieran is surely going one stop here, because otherwise he's kind of throwing his race away. He's not even leading laps here, so it's not even a Jacko car star staying out for a particular reason, as Arnell fastest lap of the race, 1:24.193. Of course, bonus points on order for the team with the fastest lap, and does go in order, so of course most bonus points for the team has the fastest lap, second team with the fastest lap, and then descending down from that is Killer, now on the back of Waitsy. So he does get down the inside. Waitsy, who is on 8-lap-old mediums, and Killer on 8-lap-old softs, as we've now got Michael, I think, slowing down to let some lap traffic through. So as you can see, cars ghosted there. He's now got is that Samba and Ben Shaw? Yes, it is, for company behind him. So Michael, it will be getting some blue flags, but Michael does what Michael does, and graciously will be getting out the way. Tends to make sure that he doesn't hinder anyone in their progress, but of course there is ghosting here. So well, it's not only ghosting here, but you can see it's ghosted all the way through the car. You can see him moving out of the way there. So even with the ghosting, Michael jumping out the way, and you can see his legs moving around in the car. As we've got Casper, the OKK Ghost, in there. He's now got Ben Shaw behind, who will be wanting to clear him. In fact, Ben will actually get a little bit of DRS from this, so he'll have the benefit of getting past OKK, but also a little bit of DRS down the main straight. But with that, is already 2.2, 2.3 seconds behind Samba, who is trying to go around the outside of Kieran. This should be pretty easy. Kieran does show him to the outside. Samba wasn't having any of it, as he does overtake him off track, but he was put there. So I think that's all fair in love and war, but we'll have to see if he has to give it up. I don't think he will do, but he now moves up into P4, and right on the back of Jake O'Sullivan, Samba's made his second stop of the race, as everyone else having made one. So he is surely gonna rush the flag here, because mediums, you've got to think maybe one more stop onto a set of softs. He went hard onto the softs, now onto the mediums. He's down the inside of Jake O'Sullivan. He's going to be using a little bit of battery, and he pulls alongside and takes what is currently P3 on circuit. But who knows by the end of this with penalties, and if anyone potentially causes another safety car, it could all change. ERT very much once again in the driver's seat for locking out the podium positions. Casper, Arnell, Samba now 7.1 seconds behind Arnell. Arnell having made a stop 5 laps ago. Casper leading laps, but due to stop as into the box finally comes Kieran. So it now leaves Casper and Ryan Berry as the only drivers trying to make this surely on a one stop. No, it's definitely a 2 stop for Kieran, so it's going to be a medium soft for Kieran. One would have thought that he might have gone onto a set of hards there, but they are very slow. But it shows you with the how much Kieran has lost here. Is he's actually going to fall back towards the likes of Ben Harrett, who's kind of been battling around the outside of the top 10. Maybe not one of Ben's better circuits, a driver that we've seen win multiple races in the Jakarta Cup Series. A man that is currently sandbagging his way to winning the chase as well, hoping to come back to here in Qatar and perhaps pick up some pieces from some guys making some mistakes later on. But what can he do from P12? Can he make an impression on the likes of Pete, who's up there in P10? Deck, solid race from him. He won't be overly happy with P13, but of course still picking up points and getting in some valuable laps here in Qatar, as Michael time penalty for the Northampton based man. Samba fastest lap of the race at 23.899, as that was always going to happen. Do we see anyone later in this one trying to steal away a fastest lap? I think we're probably going to see one of the ERT drivers trying to wait this one out and go into a set of softs and blitz a late fastest lap. So we saw last time out. So I think Sullivan Lewis was one of the drivers that came to try and get that fastest lap bonus points, but it was ERT that managed to take it as Leroy. If you need to race, you can maybe take over. Yeah, well, I'm quite happy to commentate. I'm happy to commentate or race. I'm not really fussed either way. It's more on what Jake, Ben, and Deck want. I'm quite happy to facilitate anything. I just quite like racing 100% races. I think it gives you a little bit more track time. As there we go. Unfortunately for Michael, that is the end of his session on lap 30. Too many time penalties, and he is our first DSQ of the season. His car will pull to the side and will stop. Will it disappear immediately? I think he's already been removed from the circuit, so it won't bring out a safety car, even though it's kind of sat there, not that far off the racing line yet. Back to green. So unfortunately there for Michael, it is just a few too many track excursions, and he finds himself on the naughty list and heading up to see, I'm sure, the on-track stewards to ask him his interpretation of the Losail International Circuit track limits. Now 31 of 57 here in Qatar, as Deck just loses the position there to Sclav as they're fighting away over 13th position. Gap starting to form, and the point system here, of course, benefits those that get to the end. Ryan Berry picking up 3 seconds. Those that are consistent, and of course teams that manage to complete the race with all drivers present. So that now means with both OKK and Jamie Numbers out, that ALR will not benefit from a heap of points. They're just looking for Sclav now. They won't get the bonus for all races or all drivers finishing. Neither will Team Speed, of course, losing Risky early on, an incident between himself and I believe either one of the Orange Arrows cars, or perhaps it might have been Ed Berwick. I'm not quite sure. It was definitely Risky losing the back end. It looked as though he was getting some help, but I'm sure I'll be as now Okeke retires and then leaves. So you can be disqualified and retire in one session. Sure. Lap 32 of 57. So we've now crossed well over the usual race limit of what these guys do. 50% races in most leagues. Of course, it's an endurance race here, so it's 100%. And these guys will be completing another 25 laps of this circuit. And is there anything on circuit? Doesn't look as though we've got anything too close. We'll check in with Kieran and find out how he's doing on his new softs. He's starting to make some inroads on Nick Egan for what would be P8. Of course, Kieran, who is probably going for a medium, if it is a medium soft, and she's going to try and run these, surely not 25 laps. You've got to think he's going to be in for a late stop, and what in the olden days of refueling would have been called a splash and dash. I think that's what he calls a night with his missus. But into the box comes Casper Klein, and he makes his first pit stop on lap 33. How far down does Casper fall? He's now dropped by Killer. Waitsy will come past as well. And but what he did need was not to get involved in this battle. It's going to start between Nick and Kieran. So Casper now behind Waitsy. You've got to think that team orders will come into play here, and Waitsy will not make life difficult for his Finnish compatriot at all, and I would expect to see Waitsy pull to the side and let Casper go as soon as possible. doesn't do it just yet. He's sitting there waiting. Does he pull to the left now? Yes, he does. There we go. So, gets the call, moves aside. Casper on brand new softs can now go on the offensive with Killer, who's actually having a solid race here. Currently on circuit in P5, but will have to make another stop. Kieran now on the back of Nick. So this battle was finally re-engaged after they were nose to tail for a number of laps in the early stages of the race, as Ryan Berry picks up another 3-second time penalty. We'll check in with your time penalties in just a minute or so. But here is Kieran, of course, joined Team Speed, what, halfway through, around early 2023, mid 2023-ish? It's about then. After leaving a previous, I can't even remember who he was with before these random pretend esports teams, as he does clear Nick as he goes down the inside, but Kieran moving over, and don't worry, he gets as much abuse in this team as he does in any other team, I'm sure, spouting absolute nonsense, but he clears Nick, who I was racing with a few weeks ago, I believe, in another league, and made a slightly it was in Cup Series, of course it was in Cup Series, and gave him a little bit of a Jacko car kiss up the main straight in Austria, as Beric gets 5 seconds speeding into the pit lane. Maybe he missed the invisible pit lane limiter line, as Nick now dropping off the back of Kieran, so I'd expect Kieran to start making some moves on weight. See, 3.9 seconds is the gap there. So let's just check in with your penalties whilst we can. So as you can see, it's not all plain sailing from everyone, as Ryan Berry gets another one, so he's really starting to rack them up, and it's now that's 3 penalties in 3 laps, I think, from Ryan. So bear in mind that you've got to get 2 warnings to then get the penalty. That Ryan might want to think about perhaps taking a little bit more conservative, as Casper, fastest lap of the race there, so takes it off of Samba. 23.539 is now the benchmark, but it is 3 seconds for Arnau, 3 seconds for Samba, 9 for Jake, 3 for Ben, so that's effectively that's quite a gap, it'd be that one, a 6-second gap, and between himself and Ben. Casper now already on the back of Ben Shaw within that 1 second window, so that's going to close up, but he has 3 seconds. It's 6 for Pete, 9 for Ben Harrett, 5 for Ed Berrick, of course that's speeding pit lane penalty, and 9 for Mr. Berry, the graduate. I think he's a graduate, if not he's still there. I'm pretty sure he's a graduate of Lancaster University, and he told me maths, even though I asked him a simple maths question a few years ago, I think, with part of VSL, and he couldn't give me the right answer about points in the standings. So I'm going to have to check in with his lecturers there to see how well he actually did. But Ben Shaw picking up his second time penalty, now up to 6 seconds, as that was a lovely sweeping move there from Casper around the outside of Ben. Ben picking up a penalty in the process, and now without some battery to go back on the offensive. So Casper's next task will be closing in that 3.7 seconds on Jake, and I think the rate of knots that Casper managed to close into Ben, this shouldn't take too long on these new soft tyres. We'll show you. It is 1 stop for Arnau, 2 for Samba, 1 all the way through down to Sklamf, who's made his second, 1 for Deck, 2 for Ben Harrett, 3 for Berrick, and Ryan Berry has made his first as well. And expect these guys that have made 1 to most likely make a second. Well, position changes here on lap 36 of 57. You can see Arnau and Samba have changed positions. They will be swapping back, probably momentarily. You can see that Samba already half a second behind Arnau's out. So 2 up for Jake, 3 up for Casper, but that's potential for change. 3 up for Ben. Killer is the best move of the evening so far. That's 11 positions gained for him. He'll be very happy if he can finish anywhere near that, as here comes the change for the lead. Down the inside will go Samba, and up into P1 as Arnau peels back into the slipstream as soon as possible. Samba have actually using up the majority of his battery. He does run out wide on exit there, so may have picked up another track extension penalty. But of course, these guys, whilst you like to win races, no one will care, I'm sure, if they actually do or not, because it's all about picking up points for your team. There is no Drivers' Championship in Vetalo. It doesn't matter how many races you win. It is purely a team event. So back to the ups and downs. It's Kieran -4, Waitsy -2, Nick Egan -5, Sclavs up 8. Then you've got Deck down 3. As you can see, Ben Harrett, Ed Berwick and Ryan Berry all losing positions as Pete into the box. What are you going on to, Mr. Knighton? He comes off the mediums. He goes on to the mediums. So it is a slightly longer stint. 20 laps on these to get him to the end of the race. Casper, in a lap and a half, has already caught the back of Jake O'Sullivan. And they've actually got, I think, probably Ryan Berry for company. Is that right? I'd imagine it's Ryan Berry who would be a lap down, trying to unlap himself. Of course, he is ghosted, so he can do. As long as you don't get in the eye line and start to mess these guys up. But I'd be interested to see, even with the benefit, if he's even quick enough to stay with the likes of Casper, who should be pretty swiftly making his way past Jake here. Does he use any push to pass? Should just need DRS. Can hold the battery and down into what is now net P3. So ERT once again locking out the podium positions. Doesn't look as though, with Waitsy down in P7, that it's going to be a full sweep this evening. It does look as though Jake has got the edge for P4, which means that currently it would be ERT, of course, would take the most amount of points for or team results for 1, 2, 3 and 7. JOR with 4th, 8th, 11th and 15th would just be missing, I think, just a little bit lower than Speed, who would once again be in P2 with 5th, 6th and 14th, even with Risky not in this one. But of course, without the bonus 10 points for all 4 drivers finishing the race. So it may be that JOR, if all things go to plan, will pick up 2nd overall in the evening standings. We'll have to find out. Of course, you can go to Vetalo Endurance on Twitter to find out the standings there. Ryan Berry, 3 seconds for him. Let's go on board Mr. Berry, in fact, actually, as he's actually not being dropped by these guys in front, so he's doing very well. He's using battery, so he does want to stay in DRS of these guys and get himself unlapped. I don't think there's any chance he's not only clearing these guys but then catching up 18 seconds, but at least he gives him a little battle and someone to follow in the few laps or so. And who knows, with some of these faster drivers, just learn a few different lines as he's sitting behind Jake O'Sullivan. Jake equally without any battery, Ryan Berry without any battery, which, unless a safety car comes out, you will probably find will really hurt you in the final stages if we see any potential closers up or anyone going for a late stint onto a set of softs from the lead. But I think, even though, as Casper gets 3 seconds, I'm just looking at, I think that the top 3 are pretty much safe to even make a second or to make another pit stop onto a set of softs. It will be close between themselves and Jake, but of course with Jake and Ben both with penalties, that may just kind of whet their appetite as there's another one for Mr. O'Sullivan. So he makes another mistake there, and in fact he's starting to push a little bit harder. You can see that Ryan Berry falling out of DRS of the JOR driver. So Jake trying to get back on terms with Casper. This is a race, this is effectively a race for net position, but 25 laps on the mediums for Jake and 26 on the mediums for Ben would indicate that a pit stop is coming for those two. I don't think they're going to be thinking about dragging those another 17.5 laps. So you've got to think that that gap that is currently at the front with Samba, Arnau and Casper is going to be pretty substantial in a few laps time, when we'll see I think Casper managed to take his tyres 33 laps, but I think around about 25 to 30 was the limit for the majority of the guys earlier on that decided to go for longer first stints on the medium. So everyone watching along, hopefully you're somewhat enjoying this one. I know it's a long evening, and unfortunately we had to restart the stream. You missed qualifying. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. It was a lockout of the front row for ERT. Kieran got himself up into P3, but unfortunately he's had an issue. Into the box does come Arnau and also Jake. So Jake matching what Arnau does, and so does Ben. So Ben doesn't want to give Jake any reason to break away and get an undercut on him. He does know that he's got slightly less penalties than Jake O'Sullivan. Does he actually get him held up here? I think Jake's going to get in and out just in time. He does. He doesn't get held up by this team speed car coming in. Of course, that's another crew coming out there for Nick Egan for the JOR. So, of course, multiplayer cars, because they wouldn't code into the game the fact that you could choose your teammates in multiplayer cars. That would be far too easy. Instead, you have to guess that you're not going to end up stacking with someone. I mean, I desperately wish that they actually added that into the game, that you could just choose to sit in a teammate or in a garage with someone else. It seems like it's something that's easy to do. I mean, you can do it in literally every other game mode on the game, rather than being randomly allocated. Into the box comes Samba. He's just missed the outside wall. He's going to fly in. Does he get it slowed down? Yes, he does. So Arnau came in last time around. Samba's going to come in this time. And, well, Jake is in and out. Ben is in and out. Waitsy's staying out at the moment. While he make a dive in and become the last of the ERT cars to make their final stop. Let's see if he pulls in. Yes, he does. Gets it slowed down for the pit lane entry. Makes it rain. Quite a tricky pit lane entry here, because you want to kind of take it as quickly as possible. As you can see, there's the invisible pit lane line. Waitsy in for what will most likely be a set of soft tyres. Hopefully he's kept a set of fresh ones for the race. And in and out does go the ERT driver, that will now fall down towards the tail end of the top 10, and T-Crix will come past as well. T-Crix is due to make his last stop in the next lap or so. Who else? Dex due to make a stop. I think Pete's going to the end. Ben Harriet will most likely stop again, as there's one Orange Arrows lapping another Orange Arrows. That's Ryan Berry going down a lap to his Orange Arrows stablemate. Arnau now once again just sitting behind Samba. These two have been in a field of their own tonight. Even Casper, who is leading the race by 5.7 seconds, and you've got to think of 9 laps on those softs already. Yes, he's going to get to the end, but you've got to think these two guys will not be taking too long to catch and pass the Finn, who will no doubt just be quite happy to bring it home for a podium, and ERT locking out the podium for a second race in succession. And so let's go down to Killer. Killer's now sitting right in this battle between 3 different teams. You've got ALR, you've got JOR, and ALS, sorry, you've got ALS, JOR, and Team Speed. Sklav gets passed by 1, gets passed by 2. Ben Shaw's going to try and go around the outside. Is this going to work? Because Killer is going to cut back, as he was right to do there. The door wasn't quite open enough for Ben to go down the inside, but they cleared the green machine on the medium tyres, and they can now have their own little battle. Killer, who's a few laps older on his tyres, so won't have so much of a benefit. Of course, they're relatively similar, so not too much pace disparity, but you've got to think that Ben will be somewhat confident that given some DRS in half a lap's time or so that he'll be able to overtake the JOR car and get back in front, moving up into what will be net P5. But Killer actually without a penalty so far, so he's kept it on the black stuff all evening long, as has Sklav back in P7. Of course, he can possibly get to the end. It's going to be close. He's going to have to have looked after the tyres in the early stint, but Ben Shaw here, of course, last season's Car Cup Series champion, won it in Las Vegas on the last lap of the race, having overtaken Casper Klein, of course ERT Casper, and then seen Casper in the wall on the exit of the penultimate corner, just over pushing the car on throttle. Well, what can he do as he's sitting in the tracks of the JOR car? Pulls to the inside at the last minute. There's a very late decision to make an overtake there, and gets the door shut on him firmly by Killer. So another lap down, and another lap where Ben's going to have to think about perhaps doing that move a little bit earlier, or perhaps, well, I don't know, showing his face somewhere else on circuit, getting down the inside, perhaps when the JOR car's not ready, not prepared for it. But these two closest on circuit at the moment. We've got Arnow, of course, still sitting with Samba, as they have been all race long. So we'll join them later on in the evening if they don't stop flirting with each other and just playing over who's going to come home first and second. And just to give you an update on the penalties, of course, there it is, 6-3-3-12 for your top four. So Killer actually within shot of jumping Jake on penalties. 6 seconds for Ben, so he is just outside of that window. So Killer doesn't really want to be kind of having this fight at the moment, because yes, his tyres will go off later in the race compared to these guys, but he's kind of sniffing a top 5 result easily here if he can keep it pointing in the right direction and not over fighting with Ben, who's actually made the move earlier this time around and does get past. So Kieran, fastest lap of the race. I think that fastest lap of the race might actually be by a literal thousandths of a second. So I will double check that at the end, because I'm pretty sure that Casper's fastest lap was a 3.56 or a 3.57. So I will go back and check that. But that does feel as though that's very close, which would give at the moment Team Speed the win in the team standings for fastest lap. So Kieran doing what he needs to do down in P8. So kind of fallen away has Kieran after fighting at the start of this one. As you can see now, 30 seconds off the race leader. As there's me just taking a quick break, just resting the voice. I'm certainly not certain commentators that can just scream and shout all race long and ruin streams and ruin races, but I will give you some somewhat detailed analysis for a man sitting here alone in his gaming studio, talking in front of his widescreen monitor about a video game with various people around not only the country but probably around the world playing. Some of you guys may know each other, some may not, and that's what the game is, bringing everyone together. Of course, you've seen One Hub get-togethers, meetups, you've seen Car get-togethers and meetups. Always lovely to see these guys interacting with each other, actually getting to meet people that you chat away with on Twitter, on Discord, and within various leagues, whether that's positive or negative, and even a little bit of romance here and there, the likes of myself and Deck. After several incidents in VSL, he presented me with some wonderful photos of our interactions on circuit, which have pride of place up on one of my shelves here in my studio. As Ryan Berry picking up 3 seconds here on lap 46, that now makes 15 seconds for him. As fastest lap, there we go. Actually, I will check it in race. So Casper's lap was a 5.39. Sorry, it was a 5.39. So actually, numbers mixed around. So it was actually Kieran's taking it by 0.2 of a second. I mean, ignore me from what I was saying previously that it was close. It's not that close. but it does mean that Kieran currently sitting on the fastest lap as Ben once again trades positions with Killer, but with that 6-second time penalty, Killer can just stay within 6 seconds of him, doesn't have to worry about too much. Kind of doesn't really want to be getting involved in this fight. He'd rather kind of sit with Ben and just stay within Jake's time penalty, because of course Jake 12 seconds does mean that he will be dropping back quite a hefty amount. There you go, it's now 8.8 seconds, so Jake's made up 2 seconds. So this fight that's going on, if I was F1 Killer, I would just kind of let Ben drag you forward for a bit. Stop trying to overtake him, just save a little bit of battery behind him, just work together to stay, well, I say for him to stay within Jake's window, because I think Ben's now fallen out of it. So Ben needs to kind of get his head down and put some laps in if he wants to make any inroads as it ticks over to lap 48 of 57, and we've now got this partnership leading away. Of course, Casper's lost the lead. We did miss that, but I did tell you that it would be happening. So Samba, Arnell and Casper are all effectively leading this one by 12.5 seconds. Jake with 12 seconds penalties, so even with Casper's extra 3 seconds, he's leading this one by effectively these guys are 15 seconds ahead of anyone else. So if you actually want my tip for Jack Car C5, I do think Casper, since joining ERT, has clearly been getting their grip hack sweaty setups or whatever it is that the ERT guys get. Same thing of that grizzly, sour Northern Irishman, Owen Wyatt. I mean, the man, every time he's on commentary, has nothing but negative words to say about me. So now he's here. Now he's not here to defend himself. I'm gonna hopefully enlighten you all. He's thoroughly unpleasant at all stages, and he's short as well, really short, and actually quite nasty, just quite irritating, and so we welcome back Owen into the commentary box next race. So so do join for that one, where you'll hear his nasally Northern Irish accent. I'm sure you'll all love that. Anyway, lap 49 of 57. And as you can tell, it's been a long one for this evening. Nick Egan on the back of Waitsy. Ben Harrick gets a penalty. Useless. What are you doing? Down in 13th position, 12 seconds. Awful. What's your name? Waste Cuba? Let that one settle. As whilst we are talking about sort of other leagues, me and you just talking to each other, if you watched the Jack-O-Car Cup Series race last week, I had to miss it. My first race I've missed. I think my first race I've missed legitimately. Of course, coming out of the season for various C5s previously, but in maybe since the week that I got engaged, I can't remember missing that many Jack-O-Car races at all. But we went to Spain, and I watched it back when I was over in Ireland at a friend's wedding, and I thought, what on earth is happening? It was absolute chaos. It was like watching people that had never driven an F1 car before. There was no green flag racing until lap 12, and I mean, I know simulation damage is on, but everyone was well. It shows what happens when the fastest driver in team speed doesn't show up. Everyone else clearly loses their standards and lowers them considerably. So do join us on Thursday. So it's Thursday evening for the Cup Series race. It is an unknown calendar, so it's made up by Mr. Jack Ricketts. On the day, he said he's got a calendar named, but I tell you that he just changes it depending on the way that the wind is blowing. As through goes Nick Egan on Waitsy. He's now up into P8 on circuit. So tyre life for these guys. As I'm literally just waffling now because there isn't overly, I say overly too much. There's this nice little battle going on still between these guys. But what they are doing is, I think they've given up on Jake now and are just deciding to go toe-to-toe for each other, even though Killer, as I said, can just stay behind and get Ben on penalties. But the fact that they're battling as much as they are, Ben's actually backing them up into Kieran. So Kieran, who is on the nicest of the tyres of the three of them, is now only 1.5 seconds back as Ryan Berry gets his 7th penalty of the evening. Bear in mind that Ryan didn't get a penalty until at least lapped 25-ish or something around then. So they have started to rack them up as there's the change of position once again. Behind we've got Deck with Ben Harrop. These two have been glued to each other from the majority of the race, so Deck doing a good job. Hopefully, as I said, hopefully he's still on the wheel. It's a circuit that, if you're on a wheel, I mean, some people like it because they say it flows. It's a really nice circuit to drive. I honestly think it's one of the most miserable circuits on the planet, this circuit. It's soulless, completely soulless. It was designed for bikes, and it drives like it was designed for bikes. Not 2 metre long behemoth F1 cars. And even if you watch the World Endurance Championships, you saw how much it wasn't designed for cars. So I think that Qadiyah is being designed in Qatar for a new F1 circuit, and I'm sure it'll be much like this new Saudi Arabian circuit, that it will have 700 corners, it will have 9 miles of elevation changes, it will probably have a tunnel, it'll probably have a crossover section, and there'll be traffic lights in the middle of it. It'll be, I don't know, 412 miles long, because they have to have the longest and the biggest and the highest and the safest and the widest of everything. So who needs iconic circuits, when you can go in the desert and literally build a playground? It's like going sandbox mode in City Skylines and building a racetrack is when you go out to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and places like that. Ran over? I don't know. It'll probably come back. I hate this circuit. There's nothing redeeming about this circuit apart from, I mean, it allows processions like this, where these guys can just drive around 1, 2, 3. If I will guarantee what's going to happen tonight is that we're going to get to the last lap of this race. ERT Nathan Samba, ERT Arnau 92, and ERT Casper will go side by side in formation across the line. A lovely photo that they can take and post out on the ERT Twitter page, and we'll be taking home once again all of the plaudits and all of the points for locking out the podium. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen, and I'm expecting in 30 minutes around that you can go on the ERT Twitter page and you'll see, congratulations XXX, what a great result, team, everyone loves ERT, buy our sweaty merchandise, we're sponsored by I don't know, some sort of fake energy drink where you pour it in water. I'm sure there's something like that are being promoted. I love you all. I mean, don't listen to me ever, really. But here we go, 53 and 57. We are getting to the end of this one, guys. I do promise you, it does get better than this. And there will be Sklav. Jesus Christ, where did that come from? A 22 flat, fastest lap of the race, out of absolutely nowhere, is currently going to be taking home the points in this one, and that is a mega result for them if they can do that, because you've got to think that the ALR guys will be thinking, I keep saying ALS, ALR, obviously probably not ALS, that's the wrong thing, but as these ERT guys finish off their 53rd lap, start at lap 54, there's going to be a change of position. No, it's not. You're teasing me, as he goes down thinking about the inside, but Arnau thinks better of it, and Arnau, if only he could race like this on Thursday evenings, he might actually be successful in the Cup Series. But Casper. There's no reason for you to be driving off the circuit there, as they're all effectively could be in third gear now, and they'd still be winning this one by a comfortable margin. As Killer has gone past Ben Shaw. Finally, he's got past Ben Shaw, even with older tyres, and Ben is now 5.1 seconds back, and has actually got Nick Egan for company. So the two JOR have now put themselves into very much the position of overtaking speed for second overall. So after recovering some much needed points after losing them out in China, it looks as though JOR will be coming home overall in second. A co-commentator of mine would be telling you the somewhat live updates of the points, but you're going to have to deal with me pretending like I know how to do simple maths on the fly. But Killer 6 tenths behind, 5 tenths behind. Ben Shaw now has been passed by Nick Egan. He's falling back and has time penalties, which actually puts him in danger of Waitsy, who is 5.5 seconds back. So Ben, it looks as though, there's seemingly nothing left of those tyres. He's lost half a second to Nick in this half a lap alone. So he is saving up some battery. He's got up to 50% battery as we're on lap 55 and 57 here. So 3.5 laps left to go. You can see on the mini-map in the bottom right hand corner, if you're watching along, if you're listening along in if you've got the YouTube Premium and you can close your phone and just listen along, here's your audio description. ERT turned up, everyone else raced. ERT won. I mean, we don't have to get to the end of this one. ERT race and drive on this game seemingly as if they've got an extra gear on their car. So they're following each other around. JOR doing a very good job in this late stage to actually get into a position where they might close up and overtake Kieran. So Killer has got a really good chance of getting past Kieran here. He's just about keeps it on the track surface. So we might actually see JOR in 4th and 5th, Nick Egan in P7 at the moment. Of course, Ed Berwick, a night to forget for him down in P15. He's actually into the box to go into a set of softs. Only 20 laps on the mediums, but it'll be a fastest lap attempt for him. He knows that Sklav is holding that for ALR, so it's actually the sole remaining ALR driver. As actually into the box does come. Is that it, or is that Ed Berwick coming in? I think that might be Ed Berwick coming in to serve his stop. But Killer clears Kieran. Does Kieran fight back? He tries to. There's a little bit of contact between the pair of them, but I think that was pretty much going to happen all the way through, as Killer was just kind of telegraphing he was going to make the move. Kieran tried to defend it, but there was no chance of that really going any other way than Killer taking the lead. Penultimate lap of the race, so one more tour after this half lap for ERT. Yellow flag is out for one of the Orange Arrows guys, who's actually starting to be caught by it is Ben Harrett, who's actually starting to be caught by, I mean, this must be terrifying. You've got 3 ERT leaders that are going to come across the line. Ben Harrett actually dives into the penalty. He was so terrified of being overtaken on circuit and lapped on circuit, he'd rather do it in the pit lane where he can hide his shame a little bit. But let's go on board as into the box comes Ryan Berry, into the box comes Ben Harrett. Let's go on board with our race leaders. And oh, that's ominous, isn't it? The black and the blue from your ERT drivers of Nathan Samba, of Arnel de Grief, and of Casper Klein. You've got out there 3 drivers that have been in an absolute class of their own tonight. Jake O'Sullivan, 5.3 seconds, but he's got 16-lap-old tyres. He's got slightly nicer tyres than the likes of Casper, but nothing he could do tonight, as yellow flag is out for, that's a JOR car. Who on earth is that? Ed Berwick. It must be Ed. That is Ed that's gone around. So as Ben Shaw has now been passed by Sklav, so Ben is absolutely tanking down through the order, as we've now got these guys catching up to Waitsy. Or is it, who have we got here? No, it's not. It's Samba that's gone up in front. Sorry, I thought I was looking at the mini-map and rather than the timing screen. So So Samba has just disappeared. So they're not going to take the photo shot. So Samba instead has just decided to go and absolutely rinse his way to the front. He knows that there are time penalties. So there we go. Samba to the line. Just like we saw last time at China. To the flag. It is ERT that take the race win here. Arnell in P2. Casper in P3. Jake O'Sullivan, he's got a heap of time penalties. So they will be applied there. So he will finish in P4. ERT for some reason didn't go for the photo finish. Decided to let each other kind of fight their way over it, even though it's a team event. Across the line comes Kieran. He actually got Killer back on the line there, so on the last lap. So they changed position. So Kieran does recover P5, Killer P7, but still a fantastic race for him. Nick Egan Killer P6, Nick P7. Waitsy will come home in P8, so will be ERT regardless, take home the most amount of points. Sklav does come home in P9, the sole representative for ALR. Ben Shaw is surely out of fuel because he's cruising to the flag. T-Crix actually jumps Ben on penalty, so it must be that Ben ran out of fuel in the late stages of that one. That's the only reason I can imagine he's dropped as many positions as he has. So a disastrous night for speed there after their P2 overall in China. And that ends the evening. That finally ends tonight as we complete the Qatari Grand Prix at nearly 10 past 10 in the evening for those of you in the UK. As I'm sure my wife would be absolutely delighted with the fact that the other side of the wall here in the studio to the room that she can hear me still shouting away. But we will be wrapping up very, very shortly. But what a night for the ERT drivers. 1, 2, 3, once again locking out the podium. Arnell didn't quite get the memo in the race suit. He's clearly soiled his first pair and has to wear his nationalistic second set. But the man that became a father a few months ago, and hopefully that's all going well, Mr. DeGrief. But there is your final results from, well, it looks easy, doesn't it? From P1 and P2 in an hour and 25 minutes is Nathan Samba from Arnold DeGrief, from Casper Klein, Jake O'Sullivan, Kieran Spears, your top 5, F1 Killer, Nick Egan, ERT Waitsy, Sklav, T-Crix, a solid top 10 for him and the Orange Arrows. Sklav moving up from 9th to 18th, from 18th to 9th with the fastest lap as well. So he gets the fastest lap point. Ben Shaw, I think, ran out of fuel at the end of that one. And then we've got Deck, Pete, Ben Harrett, Ed Berrick and Ryan Berry, and we lost, unfortunately, Risky, Jamie Numbers, and OKK was disqualified. Oh, take a breath. I'm sure everyone else is feeling a little bit sweaty after that one. It's a long drive. It's a circuit that doesn't really allow you to take a breath until you get to the main straight, and even then you're either defending or you're attacking. But that is us done for the evening. So thank you very much for listening. If you have managed to get all the way through, I do appreciate you. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Hopefully Owen and Jess will be in the commentary box. If not, it'll be me next time out. So you'll get some actual competent commentary. But as you can see, as I show you on screen, it will be May 20th. Will be Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. Will be the last race here on F1 23 before the season completes with 3 rounds in Austria, Monza, and in Great Britain on F1 24, which has been announced. You can now pre-order. You shouldn't, because you should never pre-order games, especially not at annual games where they barely update them. But I'm sure you'll get a bottle of Max Verstappen's bath water if you pre-order or something like that. They seem to give out crap like that. But that will be the next round coming up. So do join us on May 20th for that, where you will see, of course, these guys racing around the Abu Dhabi circuit. But thank you very much. My name's been Gareth Hall. I have been your commentator throughout this evening. And have a great night. Good night.